course, the big news yesterday was Lamar Jackson making it public that he requested a trade earlier this month. So the next question becomes, which teams would have interest in the Ravens QB? Well, at the annual meetings this week, it seemed like nobody was willing to fully address the possibility of adding the former MVP. Listen to this. Okay. So as Tedy Bruschi astutely warned us earlier, Adam, we can't believe anything that anybody says right now. But let's see if you can provide some clarity. Where are we with the market for Lamar Jackson?
I actually do believe all those men that spoke there and addressed the situation the way that they have. And I believe them because there hasn't been a team, publicly or privately, that seems to have come out and expressed interest in signing Lamar Jackson to an offer sheet. And again, it's not a question of whether or not he is an elite, great quarterback, a former MVP. He is. If you listen to the words of all those men, it's not whether Lamar is a great quarterback, it's the cost of the quarterback. And any team that signs Lamar Jackson has to pay his cost as well as the cost to the Baltimore Ravens. And each of these teams has done a deep dive into it. And to date, nobody has decided that it's worth the cost of doing business. Now, there could be a change. Let's see if Tennessee, Indianapolis, another team makes a move. But so far, there has not been a team willing to step forward that is willing to meet both the price of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
And maybe it's because there's not a team that's desperate enough yet. I think a lot of it relies around that. Adam, coming back in just a moment. Here's a look at the teams with the most cap space for 2023 as we try to figure out exactly who can pull this off, okay? Of course, teams can look to maneuver contracts and make room for a potential Lamar Jackson signing, but these teams might be in the best spot to bring him in as they currently stand. So as you can see there, quarterback-needy teams like the Falcons, Colts, and Texans all have $25+ million in cap space. The Lions are also up there, and they should have interest in the former MVP. Speaking of the Colts, their owner Jim Irsay, while not specifically asked about Lamar, had some interesting comments on fully guaranteed contracts, saying, quote, "I do not believe in fully guaranteed contracts. I think that percentage is one thing. I think that what I've seen in the NBA and Major League Baseball, I just don't see it as positive competitively. I don't see it as a positive element at all." That from Colts owner Jim Irsay. So, Dan, I would guess Irsay is not alone in his feelings about guaranteed money. This is a business. What do you make of it?
I agree with them, and I probably shouldn't because I'm an ex-player, but I've always felt that that was the difference between the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball is really in the veterans. As you get older, 5, 6, 7, 8 years into your career, you're not content. You can't just sit back and allow the check to continue to come in. I think that's a huge benefit for the NFL. This is what I would say in regards to the Lamar situation. We have talked about this nonstop. You have one goal as a football team in the offseason, to get better. I've said this 100 times. This is not a one-way street when it comes to Lamar's situation. Who are you replacing Lamar with? And I would ask anybody, you, Shefty, Teddy, Marcus, a hypothetical trade. Where and how are the Baltimore Ravens a better football team? Would they trade with someone? What can somebody give Baltimore that makes them better without Lamar Jackson? What player? What pick? There is no thing out there other than maybe Houston at the second pick if they hit on a rookie quarterback. If the Baltimore trades them, they are a worse football team.
You're definitely right. They're going to be worse, Dan, and they're going to be worse even if Lamar goes there and plays on the franchise tag, in my opinion, because the tweets indicate me how he feels personally, and he doesn't feel like being a Baltimore Raven anymore. That is the fact. So that's something you don't want to deal with. You're talking about trades and how will they get better. Then you're talking about a number 2 overall pick, a number 4 overall pick. If there's a player involved in the trade, and then people go ahead and float around the New England Patriots and adding Mac Jones in a deal, but the Patriots won't do that. I think they value Mac Jones too much. Here's something I want to address. Shefty says he believes all those men. There's the truth, and then there's the NFL truth. I'll tell you what the NFL truth is. What I say on Monday can change on Wednesday, and what I say on Wednesday can change on Friday. That's the NFL truth. That's what it is. So all of them saying that now. The one thing I'll say is this. What I learned earlier in this show is that the Washington Commanders can possibly switch ownership by or before the draft. What does that mean? What does that mean when the new ownership comes in and says, yo, Mayhew, I'm a big Lamar fan, so go ahead and do something and try to get him.
Interesting.
What if Magic Johnson is on the ownership committee and he says, yeah, we want Lamar because we want to make our fan base excited about who we are again? That's another different curveball that I just thought of because of the ownership shift, which can happen in Washington.
This was the Let Teddy Cook segment because I love what you just said. Listen, and Dio, I'm gonna talk back to you on what you said. Like, are you going to get better? We don't know, but we've seen teams not get better after trading away really good players or not knowing what that future was like. Geno Smith was a godsend. We didn't know he was going to be better than what Russell Wilson did, or we didn't know Russell Wilson wasn't going to ascend and play the way he did. We don't know if Jordan Love is going to be better than Aaron Rodgers would have been. Like, there are a number of things. I remember when we had all of this talk, we didn't think we knew Houston wasn't going to be better when they got rid of Deshaun Watson. The relationship and the disgruntlement is what we're focused on now because Lamar Jackson has said he wanted to be traded. We know the business part. That's what I keep stressing to everybody. We know how hard it is. We know what you don't get, what you might get. We know all of that already. The change came when your starting quarterback, who we thought was a franchise guy, said he wanted to be out of your organization. That is the point.
Right.
That changes everything.
What happens if Houston loves one quarterback in this draft and they don't think the rest of them are worth a darn? They pick number 2. They're not just taking anybody.
And they love the one that they think's going 1? Is that your point?
Well,
like
if Houston loves C.J. Stroud, that's the only guy we want. Carolina takes him. Then Houston's not going to take anybody just because. But then that's the reciprocating partner for Baltimore. This is a 50-50 situation. Baltimore has to sit there and go, we are a playoff football team. We have Joe freaking Burrow in our division. We are not just playing with anybody at quarterback.
Yeah, and at that point, all of that happens right in the middle of the NFL draft. A couple things I just wanted to point out quickly. The Washington Commanders, this can change, and ownership groups can change this too, but they have very little cap space, under $1 million, just under $1 million in cap space. Something to watch out for there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.